Well, panic buying has contributed to the biggest monthly rise in retail sales on record, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. But future sales remain unclear. And I had the pleasure to speak to Paul Zahra from the Australian Retailers Association earlier this week. Paul, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Normally we'd be welcoming this sales surge, but because it's COVID-19 driven and so many other retailers are closed, it's just a consequence of the strange times we're living in. Is this how you see that?
Absolutely. We're saying that to read those sales with caution, because there's the sales surge in food particularly and pharmaceuticals is actually camouflaging what's really going on. So we know food is forecast to be up about 23.5% and groceries up by 36%, driven predominantly, would you believe it, by toilet paper, pasta and alcohol. So some of those categories are between 2 to 10 times more in sales than they would normally be. So if you look at the discretionary sector, unfortunately, they are in deep trouble and performing very poorly at the moment.
Paul, one economist is forecasting a record decline in retail sales next month. How are you preparing for that?
We are expecting that as well. Our members of the Australian Retailers Association, which is a fairly broad church, which goes from independent small retailers right up to the major retailers, and they're giving us a consistent message. They're battening down the hatches. They're focusing particularly on costs, making sure that they have applied for the JobKeeper program to pass those salary subsidised salaries, I guess, across to their employees. And the big one, of course, currently is about actually minimising or eliminating the rent payments. So it's been a pure focus on cost reduction to ensure that they've got a viable business on the other side.
So where to from here for retailers? Are you hoping more businesses will be able to open in some capacity when restrictions are eased?
Yes, we are. So when we get into some of the detail with our retailers, what we're finding is in the more regional locations, they are trading okay. And in fact, some of them are actually in positive growth. But when you look at CBD locations particularly, they're up to minus 90%. And of course, if they've closed, they're not trading at all. So it's a very much a tale of two cities, I guess. So the focus again for them is actually just looking at the recovery side of this and what does it mean. So what we've been planning for is predominantly what we've seen rather is actually this massive disruption again to the retail industry and this digital transformation that's coming at a lightning speed. So they've been focusing particularly on investing in their digital strategies to make sure they can trade at least online whilst this COVID-19 situation continues.
And has the retail sector received enough support? For example, does the JobKeeper scheme seem to be enough?
We believe that the government are doing a great job. I think it'd be fair to say they've moved quickly on the job seeker program and JobKeeper program. So I think from our perspective, we applaud what the government has done. We have had some assistance in putting a code together around rental agreements. The ACCC has recently agreed for ARA members to be able to collectively bargain. So we're doing what we think we can do. The big issue right now, though, is cash flow. So for both small and large businesses, so there's a timing issue, particularly with the JobKeeper payments. So they haven't been made yet. So cash flow is of the ultimate concern for retailers right now.
And your background, Paul, is in the department store space. Will Myer and David Jones survive this, or will there be much smaller on the other side?
Look, I'd like to think so. It would be a shame to see either department store fall over, but they are under significant pressure, there's no doubt. And again, they've been particularly focusing, which is what most retailers are and should be doing, is reducing their physical footprints and investing significantly in digital, because that is the consumer of the future. There's a major changing landscape that's been occurring for some time now, and this COVID-19 situation has just expedited that.
Paul Zahra from the Australian Retailers Association, thank you so much for your time this morning. Take care and stay well.
Pleasure. Thank you. You too.